Come on out, little dancing critter. There you go. We got it to move with the motion sketch. Now it's time to make this character a little less stiff. That's going to be achieved using the puppet pin tool, which lives up here. The puppet pin tool will seem a little familiar. We already covered the corner pin and the mesh warp. If you combine those two concepts, you'll get what the puppet pin is doing. Let's get started. Welcome to the Puppet Pin Test Lab. In the Puppet Pin Test Lab, we test puppet pinning before going on to the main tutorial. This will give an overview of what's going to go on in the next scene. There is no animation on this character. That adds a little layer of complexity that is also covered in the next video. This is the puppet pin tool. Select the puppet pin tool, roll over your object, and the object, alpha objects, are what's used for the puppet pin to understand the structure of the object that you want to animate. Train back on the background. Show mesh, you'll see in a moment what this does. Mesh expansion, how far around this object to select for pixels to be bent or controlled by the puppet pin tool. And density, how dense to make the mesh. Self-explanatory, right? That just means how bendable the mesh will become. Selecting the puppet, take two, selecting the puppet position pin tool. I'll click out a pin right there. By clicking out a pin, in the effects, the effect that we're looking for that was just added is the puppet. Advance is the current engine, take two. Advance is the current implementation of the puppet engine, and the engine is just what drives this puppetness here. Under mesh, and this is now considered a mesh, are the deformers. Much like the corner point, puppet pins control a region. I'll click out another, and another one for the elbow, another one for the wrist. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, elbow and wrist, and see as things were clicked out, how the density has changed. And I'll add one for the ankle on this side and ankle on that side. To move, just drag a pin around. You'll see maybe the head bobs, which is great to get the secondary animation without putting any extra effort into it. If you don't want that to happen, put a pin in that affected area. You can see less movement. The more pins, oh, almost got him in the eye. Didn't mean to do that, sorry. Reselect the pin, press the delete key to get rid of the pin, and then pin it somewhere else. Now when I move the arm, there's no slight movement around the head. Let's look at the feet. I don't mean just look at the feet. I mean, let's study the pins at the feet. When I drag one to this side, it does something expected. That's good. Going up to the top menu where it says Mesh Show, you could turn that on or off. This is where you could turn it off. Expansion deals with the bounding mesh around the image. Increasing this number, I'm going to pull up to 9. The mesh becomes wider around the image. When I drag this point, it's yanking like the other pixels. They're glued together. Selecting a good number to get in close enough is very important to be successful doing puppet pin. Also, take a look at the artwork as I roll over my skeleton. Right there, its original position. You can see the outline in yellow. The setup for the artwork should be with a little space in it. If you're just moving a blob, an image, because you don't have to use this just for characters. If you want to do a character animation, make sure to get into this T pose. And another way to show all this is just to turn off the puppet pin effect. And turn off the mesh. Drawing a character in a T pose with enough room in order for the mesh to grip onto the correct spaces so it doesn't become glued in between areas. I'll turn back on puppet pin. Now we're in this groovy pose. I'm going to redo this and focus in more how to animate a character. This will also introduce different elements. The puppet pin was deleted from the effects track. Zooming into this, how to rig a character or something to be a little more stiff. Starting with the puppet pin position, where the main joints are, such as the shoulders, upper leg, and around the hip area, to anchor the character around. Things move, and what we need though now is ability to move this arm up and down more realistically, as realistic as a two-dimensional character gets. Selecting the Starch tool at the beginning is important, and you're thinking about this as growing a bone out. So a bone will grow from here to here to here, and I'll do the same on the other side, from here to here, from here to there to there. Starch, unmovable point, it does hold the influence though. So now I have this stiffer animation. Let me anchor another position. Puppet position down here. So this way you can see the character distorts less. To rotate this bone, so it could do a better wave hello than this. Hey, something's over there. Want to have a little more control than that. Going under the puppet pin tools and selecting the advanced pin. In between the two starches, I'll use an advanced pin, and that allows for the bendability of that arm. To rotate, when you see the select tool change into a rotation tool, click and move it left and right around the circle. Now our character could point upward finally to get something from the top shelf. Could do the same between here and here for the lower leg. I'll select that pin just to deselect that circle that was around the advance pin. Now, well, ouch, you shouldn't go that way, but okay, maybe this way a little bit. Clicking on that pin. The advance pin also can be moved. It's a lot like a position pin, except it has rotation and scale attached to it. To scale, when you roll over this square on top of the gizmo, you can drag it smaller or bigger. Hey, this person went to the gym. At least worked out one hand at the gym. Let's let it work out the other hand at the gym. Making sure advanced tool is selected. Oh yeah, this character's really been at the gym. Working out. Passing the time away. Can't move a starch point, you can move one of these points. If it's beyond a character, you can see how this could be an interesting way to deform type or graphics. Since we're in After Effects, it's about animating. You can move to some other frame. The puppet pin tool is one of those effects that's always on, waiting to be changed, which means as I move it, it looks like this person has a great idea. Oh, I was going to say, who's the cool puppet pin character? I'm the cool puppet pin character. When we did the motion sketch, we moved this character around. And so, take two. Has nothing to do with puppet pinning, it's just your regular skills. Maybe characters over here. And then a few moments later, it's over here. And how it got there, it decided to take a small leap into the air. Let's move that leap over. Turn off snapping so I'm not stuck in that position. As you're animating, you're going back and forth between animating the global position of the character on stage and then the subtle secondary animations such as hands, legs, head, bouncing.